has fully militarized 3 islands in the South China Sea.
Has claimed that China is yet again creating discord in the Spratly Islands, located in the South China Sea.
The Chinese, as part of its hegemonic ambitions, have been constantly trying to disrupt the peace world order at large, and specifically in the Southeast Asia. They have been constantly projecting their military prowess through very frequent live fire drills, incursions in the territorial waters of other nations.
In 2 recent close calls, on Saturday, a Chinese warship crossed in front of an American destroyer in the Taiwan Strait.
And gross exploitation of natural resources. The Chinese have adopted the strategy of area dominance and have been constructing artificial islands and heavily fortifying them. They have also militarized and constructed air bases and satellite radar domes on Spratly and Parcel Islands, a contested area between many nations. The Southern Theater Command of the PLA is responsible for areas in and around the South China Sea. However, many incidents in the recent past indicates that the Chinese troops continue to engage in activities in violation of territorial integrity of other nations. It often undertakes joint exercises on the directives of the CCP dangerously close to the borders of the independent nations, and attempts to provoke a response from them. Recent incidents also indicate multiple incidences of GPS jamming of mercantile traffic in South China Sea. Chinese Navy and Air Force have often transgressed into the Taiwan Strait and have conducted firing exercises with live rounds, often bringing the 2 countries on the brink of a violent confrontation. Recently, there have been 2 occasions on which the Chinese transgressed into the Taiwan Strait. Not just Taiwan, but the Chinese have been indulging in belligerent acts with the Philippines and Indonesia regularly. They occupied and militarized the Spratly Island, which is a strategic island in the South China Sea. The Chinese have constructed an airbase along with a few radar domes on that island, and augmenting with fighter jets, laser and jammer gear, anti-ship and anti-aircraft missile systems, and other weapons as show-off of their military might. Pertinently, the airfield is long enough to fly fighters, bombers, transport aircraft, and AWACS. The unfriendly activities are in sharp contrast to previous statements made by Chinese President Xi Jinping that Beijing would not turn the man-made islands in disputed waters into military outposts. Therefore, it can be seen that the purpose of such islands is to increase the PRC's offensive capacity outside of its continental borders. Chinese fishermen, under the protection of the Coast Guard and the Chinese Navy, often transgress the waters of neighboring nations and carry out unrestrained illegal fishing. Further, militias armed by the CCP often harass the local fishermen from fishing in their waters. Chinese ships are also often accused of interfering with 2 locations in the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines, including a collaborative marine scientific research mission and energy exploration activities. But these nations face a mammoth diplomatic challenge in front of them. Chinese companies over the years have invested in various infrastructure development projects in these nations. This ensures the Chinese diplomatic as well as economic leverage. The Chinese strategy to dominate small and weak nations by flooding investments has been bearing good dividend thus far. Along with capital, they also inject the media of the country with information that praises China and highlights the advantages for a nation if they have an alliance with China. Therefore, nations with weak civil societies and a lack of independent media make these nations succumb to the narratives that are carefully injected. Beijing has also interfered in Myanmar's internal affairs, supporting the military junta for economic and strategic purposes. China's support for the military regime in Myanmar risks regional instability and financial burdens for neighboring nations. China pressures Mekong nations to strengthen ties with the military regime, undermining ASEAN's role as a mediator. In conclusion, China's military buildup in the South China Sea, economic influence, and political interference pose challenges to regional stability. Questions arise regarding nations' reliance on Chinese loans, Chinese investments in infrastructure projects, and China's control over local media. While the concept of a debt trap has been debated, the risks remain, potentially leading to greater Chinese influence in Southeast Asia and disrupting the global balance of power.